Thanks for joining me for a Kick Up the Arts. I am Nicola Meehan, and in this episode, recorded live at the wonderful Stand in Glasgow, I am joined by a legendary musician, singer and songwriter who has been associated with so many bands and artists that if I listed them all, we'd be here till next week. They include, however, the Pretty Flowers with BMX Bandits Douglas T. Stewart, the Soup Dragons Sean Dickson and the Vaselines Francis McKee, not to mention the Boy Hairdressers, the Clouds, the New Mendicants, Jonny, Jadfair, De La Soul, Butler, Blake and Grant, and Teenage Fanclub. He is the glorious Norman Blake, and he chatted about his life and work and a favourite Scottish album, film and book via Budgies, Bellshill, Boiler Suits, Roller Blinds, touring with Nirvana and rock and roll bungalows. He played us some fab songs live too. He told me he'd rocked up with his guitar tuned to Nashville. But music on podcasts is basically a minefield for various rights reasons, so I can't include them. I'm really sorry. Trust me though, they were awesome. And not least because I accompanied Norman, uninvited, on the tambourine. But for now, to a winter's afternoon on the Great Western Road with Norman Blake. The wonderful Norman Blake, and so perfectly in tune. Yeah? How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah,
Do you want to sit at this side? We never discussed that.
No,
Would you be
this is good.
happier?
I'm happy here.
Sometimes people have like a real...
I don't have a preference.
Okay, good. It was good that we literally at 2:30 when we were coming on stage, wonderful Sean and Fraser from the venue came and get us. At what point I was putting on my nail varnish and Sean heard me sing the immortal words. So Norman, I'll just tell you about the event we're going to do. We hadn't really discussed it. We'd sat back there and talked about every single other thing.
We did.
However, we're going to chat for about 40 minutes or so, then have a quick break, then another 40 minutes or so. So we'll be here till the back of 4. You're going to hear another couple of songs from Norman in whatever order, but I think the order is wonderful, so you're all going to know them and you're all going to love them. We're also, along the lines, going to have a sort of virtual afternoon or evening round at Shea Blake. Okay, so you're going to chat about a favourite album that you might put on if we gate crashed your house.
Yeah.
A Scottish album, a favourite Scottish film, and then a favourite Scottish book for some bedtime reading. Before we get to that, though, I think we need to speak about the beer because we're very on brand. You've just got back from Spain.
Excellent.
With Butler, Blake and Grant.
Yeah, we were, and we had, so this is a Straya Galicia, which they have at the bar there.
Yeah.
But so they've been...
probably running out.
We should do a cheers, shouldn't we?
I know, yeah.
But they are doing a thing. I'll just take a little sip of this.
It's method.
Very nice. They're putting a lot of money into music stuff over in Spain at the moment, Straya Galicia. And so we arrived at the venue in Granada last Sunday, and they had these little branded Butler, Blake and Grant Straya
They look
Galicia
amazing.
bottles. Yeah. Really nice. We were actually fishing to get some. We didn't get them there and then, but I think we're working on it.
Were you like, that's so lovely? And they were like, yeah, you have to buy them. You have to buy your own beer.
With the fan club, we actually, there was a vineyard in Spain that did like a sort of fan club labels. Really? Yeah, we got some of those.
They had a Teenage Fan Club wine?
They had Teenage Fan Club wine, yeah. It was a festival, and we got some wine. It was pretty good.
I love that. And how was the rest of the tour? Because the lovely thing about Butler, Blake and Grant and the way that it's come around is it was a friendship. It was kind of meant to be a one-off, and it just didn't really quite go away in the best way. Yeah,
you know, it's the tour. So the tour was a lot of fun. Other than on the very first day, Ryanair managed to break the handle off my guitar case. So I did the whole tour. With the first day, I have to remember me and James, where were we? In A Coruña, going to a hardware shop. How the fuck can we get a handle for this thing? I ended up with like a bungee cord thing, which I sort of managed to fit into the case. And I was walking, it was sort of bouncing around everywhere. I had it for the entire tour.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you did the Nirvana tour, you did the Radiohead tour. You don't think, you know, that you'd be having to get a bungee cable for a guitar, right?
Yeah, it's come to this. It was one of those moments. But it was a lot of fun. But that was, the way that came about was Douglas McIntyre had asked me to do something at Frets, and he'd asked James to do something, and then he thought, it might be a good idea to put those guys together. Me and James knew each other, but not really well. I knew James. You know, we sort of nodding terms and we said hello. But we got together and worked on a few songs, and that was all going really well. And then Douglas got in touch and said, "Norman, you're pals with Bernard Butler. I was thinking of getting Bernard up. How about rolling him into the gang as well?" And so we did. And Bernard flew up a couple of nights before we did the first show, and then we just played some of each other's songs, and then that developed from there into us making an album last year. So a lot of fun. It's dead easy. It's good fun.
But the lovely thing is, in so many ways, that's always the way you have made music. Like if we go back to the earliest days and, you know, you meet Douglas Stewart from the BMX Bandits, and you can maybe tell us about, you know, I've read in the past about, you know, you think you met him in, or your recollection is you met him in the art block and you liked Jonathan Richman, and a band we will come to talk about shortly. But it was always about kind of friendship and collaboration.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. I mean, it really, I guess, pretty much so. But and also just I really enjoy making music with people. I think when you work with different people, everyone has a different approach to how they write songs and how they play song structures. You know, all of that stuff. And so you can always learn something from working with someone else. So I've always enjoyed that aspect of it. Also, I think you know, it's fine doing that solo thing there, but it's not a lot of fun, really.
Sorry about that.
No, I only mean, I only mean in the sense that
I hated it.
Yeah, it's always much better as soon as you have another person to play against. Much better, it's miles better, and that I think just about. I mean, some people have got massive egos and they love doing that kind of thing, but for most musicians, I think they would much rather play with someone. So,
but do take us back. Okay, so you and Douglas Stewart, right? Is this literally?
We were at school we went to the same school, Bellshill Academy. Sheen Easton was a couple of years above us.
Was she really?
She
like,
was,
is this true?
She was, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you remember her?
No, I didn't know her at all, but she was a couple of years above us. But anyway, so I'd seen Douglas walking around. I remember he used to be around behind the smokers school, and he had a pipe. He was smoking a pipe. I thought he'll be my kind of person. And then I went into the art class, and so I think everyone was given the opportunity to sort of do whatever they wanted on these sort of wooden tables, desks, that were they would kind of slot onto the top of the whatever, these modular desks. And somebody had sort of painted a cubist dog, and I thought, I like that, and it was Douglas. And so then we sort of met up, and we both liked Jonathan Richman, and with similar music tastes. And then we started making music. I mean, Douglas can't play in it. He can play the kazoo. He's really good at the kazoo. I think he's registered with the Musicians Union as a kazooist. So anyway, we listened to John Peel a lot, and we started making tapes. But it would be like, I mean, it was nonsense. But there were songs, you know, but we would make albums, but complete nonsense, pretty abstract, but a lot of fun though. We just wanted to make music and be creative. But also around about that time, on the street where I lived, there was a guitar teacher, and I used to see this kid walking down the street, this wee guy walking down with his guitar, and it was Sean Dickson.
I'm curious about this guitar teacher. I think his name was Sandy Holmes. I've come across his name a few times.
That's correct, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He gets mentioned now.
Sounds like a care home, doesn't it?
Right.
Next to the beach.
The way in which, though, you know, lessons and going somewhere, whether it's just, you know, it's not necessarily you going for the lessons, it might be you avoiding lessons, dreading the lessons, enjoying the lessons, learning something obtuse from the lessons, seeing someone going to their lessons.
Yeah.
This guy, to me, has become quite a fascinating kind of character because of all of those aspects. Like, even if it's just the fact that it took this boy past your street.
Sure, no, absolutely. I guess so, yeah. I guess we probably wouldn't have hooked up with Sean otherwise. And yeah, I mean, but that was really good. It's just the three of us together started making music, and Douglas was really at the vanguard of that. It was his ball, and he was the captain, as it were, and we were kind of his sidekicks. But it was all, so that was really where it started for me musically. Although at the same time, when I was young, I had like piano lessons for a bit. My mum sent me there, and that was all right. I think it was pretty good. It gave me a good grounding in melody, I think, structure. But that was so. And then after that, again, the punk rock, the Clash. I was really crazy for the Clash. I saw them a load of times, and I really thought Paul Simon looked cool.
You'd have been quite young at this point as well. Like,
definitely, yeah. Well, I think the Clash. So I saw them in like '79. I was born '65. I was 14 or something. But I loved them, and I thought that the bass looks like the easiest thing to play on stage. So I think I'll get one of those. And so I persuaded my parents to buy me a bass guitar and a WEM Dominator amp, and that was really, really cool. And then so I took it from there. I also got a job in McCormick's music shop in Glasgow. Worked there for
That
couple
idea of
years.
community, I think, is so important as well, because
Yeah.
you know, and the musicians you're meeting, who presumably are coming in and getting stuff.
Oh, do you know what? Do you know, actually, when I worked in McCormick's, it was amazing, actually. I was there one day, I was 17, and John Martin came in.
Whoa.
Right.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, fuck, that's John Martin. Right? And one of the guys nudged me, he's like, he doesn't pay for anything. So, all right. So John Martin came up and he said, all right, wee man, hey, that mad thing. He'd get into the Scottish accent, the London accent, mental. All right, wee man, how's it going? Ooh, all that. I said, oh, hey, John, how you doing? And he's like, I'm looking for a couple of sets or whatever, the Darios or whatever it was. And I was like, here you go, John. And he's like, how much is that, wee man? I was like, you're good. He's like, cool. So, there you go. Actually, he actually lived on Tintallon Road in the south side, where I lived out that way for a long time, and so I know he went to the same school, primary school and high school as my daughter.
Really?
Lanside Primary and Shawlands Academy, yeah.
It's wonderful how there are all these different connections.
Yeah, amazing.
But I also love that it's sort of like, as you were speaking about the way in which you were attracted to Douglas as a friend, as a kindred spirit.
Sure.
People fill in forms now, you know, this is what you're looking for in a person. And I just love the fact that the two things that completely and utterly attracted you to this person, and there are so many bands at the heart of this over so many decades, were the fact that he smoked a pipe and the fact that he painted a cubist dog in your art class.
I'm going to say he may have been wearing a deer stalker as well. I think he may have been wearing a deer.
You know, just kind of like completely and utterly bucking against every grain, if you like, because he was being very provocative in the best way, right?
I mean, here's the thing. So Douglas, look, all the sort of tough guys at the school. There's Big Cecil. They would call him Cecil because they thought that was okay. They looked like Cecil, so they called it Cecil. All right, Cecil. But the thing is, Douglas's cousin Jonny was hard as fuck.
Was he?
Oh yeah, yeah. So Douglas didn't get any shit. Most of the time. We get called Cecil, but apart from that, he was all right.
See, now we get the privilege. He had a protector.
I did, indeed, yeah. Johnny.
One of the fascinating things about the ways in which you started making music, you met Sean Dickson, of course, and Francis McKee. Will maybe go on to the way in which that happened, because you moved to a community drama group in Brigton, I think, by this point. But from the word go, it's always struck me that, you know, you're saying, oh, it was rubbish, oh, it was absurd, we were making all these mad songs, or you played a gig in a park nearby.
Yeah.
You were never really, as I understand it, covering music. You were always creating something new. That always seems to be, if there's a theme, if you like, it's almost...
Oh, yeah, sure. It was,
anything's possible.
I think so, yeah. I mean, you know, Douglas initially was the person that was writing most of the lyrics. And then actually, so we did all that stuff early on, but by the time it came around to BMX Bandits, Sean had written the really early things for that. At that point, I think I was with the boy Hairdressers. I played with the Clouds as well, actually, with that band. And then also with the Pastels for a bit. But,
you toured with the Pastels,
The very first tour that I did in Europe was with the Pastels, 1987. It was an amazing experience. And yeah, because Martin, who played bass with them, couldn't do it. He was working. So off we set. It was really, really good fun. And I was really young, really green. And I remember walking into the Melkweg in Amsterdam and seeing a guy with a massive big beard and like this. And he had a coat hanger on his head, but a bit like this. It was kind of like that. It's mental. So it was a real eye.
Like not making anything
of it. No, it's no big deal. Stoned out his mind, but it was a bit of an eye-opener, but it was a really good experience and I really enjoyed it. And so, yeah, but then shortly after that, Sean had the Soup Dragons, and they were doing a lot, and they were off touring the world with InXS or whatever. And I wrote some songs with Douglas, so I did mostly the music, and he wrote the words.
So when you first met Douglas, Jonathan Richman was one of the bands, or one of the artists, Jonathan Richman, Modern Lovers, that you bonded over. The other was Take Us Into Your Living Room or Hi-Fi Room, or wherever you're taking us, Norman, for the first part of our little evening at yours.
It was Orange Juice.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I've brought my very own copy of the first Orange Juice album.
Norman arrived, I had to help him in the door. Not only did he have his guitar with an actual handle, not a bungee cable, he's brought props.
There you go. I should take out the plastic bag, shouldn't I? Here we are. You Can't Hide Your Love Forever. I'm sure lots of people in here have got that album. But that's the copy that I bought in 1982. Do
you remember where you got it?
I think probably Virgin Records or something like that. Maybe, or actually maybe were the little record shops still going at that time? For the listens and blogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe one of those actually. So the answer is no. I can't remember what. But anyway, it's an amazing record. So but what I had done though was like I was really pretty crazy for Orange Juice, and I saw them a lot of times before this album was made, and before they'd signed with Polydor, and I'd picked up there was a cassette that you could get in Paddy's Market that all the early versions of these songs. It's an amazing cassette. It was recorded at the Hellfire Club. The guy that recorded it is a guy called David Henderson, who does Teenage Fanclub sound now, and he has done for years. But David recorded all of it, and so I remember picking up that tape and going absolutely mental for it. And then they produced this, and it was amazing.
But also knowing that, you know, the postcard idea, the fact that they were there, the fact you get the tape in Paddy's Market, obviously you'd been in Bellshill, you were in Glasgow. The fact that they were doing that, the kind of post-punk, punk DIY thing, but they were also bringing in all these other types of music. Was that fascinating, you know, because the soul, the disco...
No, that was the thing that was amazing about it.
The funk in it.
Well, as a young person at that time, I loved all the post-punk stuff. I was really into all the Rough Trade things, all the Metal Urban and all those things, and Kleenex and all of those amazing records. But I like Crass and stuff like that as well, you know, when I was younger. But there's a sort of dogmatic thing to that, where any music made before a certain time was verboten or whatever.
Yeah, it's like a manifesto, and you cannot
totally
go
that.
beyond.
And I was kind of adherent to that as a young person because I thought you had to be. Yeah. Right, so okay, all that stuff.
To be a true fan.
Exactly. And then Orange Juice came along and it's like, no, like Chic are brilliant. You know, and Buffalo Springfield are amazing, and you can listen to all these other records, and you know, alongside listening to the Buzzcocks or the Subway Sect, it's all good, and it was a real eye opener. And then they cover Al Green on this album, so in terms of you know expanding your musical horizons in that sense, it was brilliant.
They're also so reflective of a different Glasgow than was so often kind of represented at the time. I mean, it's become a bit of a cliche now because we understand that the kind of macho, darker aspects of Glasgow were not the only one. Douglas, again, Stewart has spoken so much about upturning that masculinity. But the thing with someone like Edwyn Collins was he was so utterly beautiful, so utterly charming. Yeah. You know, performance-wise as well. You're seeing them on stage.
All of that. Yeah, I remember seeing them once, and they come on for an encore, and Edwin said something like, just give me a couple of minutes. James, the guitarist, is having a wee. Just things like that. It was always like I remember there's a great bootleg of them after like Rip It Up was a hit, okay? And they're playing in London, and they come on stage and the crowd go fucking mental. And Edwin says, calm down, we're not fucking Kajagoo. That was Orange Juice.
Yeah, quite. Even the name, you know,
that too,
it's like
it's
even
just a
the
genius
brightness of this name, the brightness of a single, like falling and laughing, you know.
It's amazing. What a record it is too. It's brilliant. And I was totally hooked. I got that single, got Blue Boy, I got them all. I was really into the postcard thing. I thought it was really exciting. Did you have ideas? I'm trying to think about the sort of like chronology of your own musical, if you like, development. By that point, were you thinking, I want to be a musician, I want to be a band? Yeah,
this
I think
was
so.
All
I
by
think
this
I
point.
pretty much was. Yeah, really from pretty early on. And I guess that would have been before me. That Falling in Love was 1980, I think. But definitely had ambitions. So this may be something that I could do.
Was there anything else you wanted to do, like when you were a wee boy? Were there any sort of...
No, really.
Just music?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's a class of people would say to me, what are your hobbies now? And I'll say, I like buying guitars, and I like records. They're all the things I like are related to music. They always have been. I did a couple of jobs. I mean, I worked for Apollo Blinds for like about 6 months. My dole was going to get stopped. So I had to fucking cut track all day.
Did you?
Yeah, for Louvre Blinds.
Right. This is a sort of...
that was a fun job.
This is a sort of indie version of, you know, like the walking songs or like the kind of weaving songs where you're like that rhythm.
It wasn't that exciting. It really was not that exciting. I did that for a little while. I had the music shop job. That was amazing. That was brilliant. I loved that.
But that's a total extension of what you're already doing and loving.
Yeah.
But I think the Orange Juice thing and what it opened up about Glasgow, also about something which was on your doorstep, is fascinating because the creativity of the label, the aesthetic of the label,
all of that.
Someone like Edwyn, and also someone like Edwyn saying, you know, it's not, it's okay to read It's okay to be ironic.
Yeah.
It's okay to be playful also with your Scottish identity, but take that into other places and be quite punk with it.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, Edmund's a massive talent, you know, and it's amazing actually that what he's done post illnesses. Yeah. It's incredible. It's just incredible. I mean, he really is an inspiration, and he's still. You go up to the studio, but Norman, check it out. That's a 1962 Gretsch, whatever.
Oh my God, I know.
And mics and all that stuff.
I know.
So he still loves all of that.
Yeah, he totally. Like if you go up to Helmsdale, the detail you get of the microphones, you'd be like opening all these artifacts that he's got, like very, very specific 50s microphones.
He's mad for his microphones.
Yeah.
But I said because I sort of knew. So Grace, I went to school with Grace's sister Hazel, who's in my class at school. So I've got a connection from way back with them too. Yeah. They're from Bellshill.
Yeah, this is Grace Maxwell. Wife, manager.
Yeah.
Basically being the boss since she did.
And she's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Grace, she's so funny. Yeah. But she told me a story. Maybe in the book is called The Possibilities Are Endless. And she said that was the thing for when she knew that Edwin was coming back. She was just in the hospital one day and he turned and he said, Grace. She said, yes, Edwin. He said, the possibilities are endless. And so he's fucking back.
I know. Hadn't spoken a word, had been in a coma forever, and then comes back with his beautiful, profound verbosity. The lovely thing about Orange Juice and your abiding love for them and all the band members is that you then sort of speak lightly of something which was actually huge for the band when Teenage Fanclub, when you get to the early 90s and you get to this incredible, I mean, I don't know, like, could you process it at the time? Can you reflect more on it now? When, you're touring with Nirvana, Nevermind is out. Of course, we have like all these huge creation records at the time. We've got Loveless, we've got Primal Scream being big as well. But Spin magazine named Bandwagon-esque as the album of the year, and you're like, I think that might be because there's an Orange Juice connection.
Stephen Daly was the reviews editor at Spin magazine. Drumming Orange Juice. Drumming Orange Juice. Thanks, Stephen. That was Stephen's influence there. So that was amazing. Yeah, but we've been lucky to have sort of been around or witnessed a couple of phenomena, and the Nirvana thing was amazing. It was incredible just seeing that all blow up.
Were you aware of the fact that you were also at that point and that Bandwagon-esque was just going somewhere that was just also, because sometimes it's only when you look back and you see the statistics and go, God, we were there.
It did well in America, and that, I mean, it was the last one that did well in America, but still, but that was great. It was an amazing experience, and but I don't know, all of that stuff was brilliant. But you're not aware of it really. You're just going along with what's happening. And you got opportunities. So I mean, I think the reason that we ended up on Geffen was partly through our association with Nirvana. We'd known them, and we'd known them for quite a long time actually. Before Nevermind and stuff like that, we'd known them. I mean, one of my favourite things I've ever witnessed was I was the other person in the room when Eugene Kelly met Kurt for the first time. Kurt Cobain, and Kurt Cobain loved Eugene, and we were. It was in Edinburgh. And the Nirvana were playing, I think it was in the Bleach tour. They'd asked the Vaselines to reform for a show. So they did. And I remember going through in the van with them with the terrible detail, but me and Eugene would drink a bottle of Buckfast in the back of the van. Anyway, I thought that's what you had to do. But we get to the venue and we meet Chris Novoselic, and he says, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And he said, Kurt really wants to meet you, Eugene, and he's up in the dressing room. So we go up the stairs. Kurt was wearing that really heavy eyeliner. Those amazing images. And we walk in, and Kurt's like kind of all over Eugene. It's amazing.
Really?
Oh, he's kind of like, oh man, Eugene Kelly, I can't believe. Oh man, it's wow. That's lovely. And it was absolutely amazing. Just I'll never forget it. It's just totally brilliant.
Also, it's that thing of seeing yourself from a different perspective, isn't it? Because you're all friends, you'd all been in these various bands. There were so many crossovers. I mean, I don't know like what that Venn diagram or what that family tree would be like, but when then someone comes in, like everything is exotic if you're on the other side of it.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing, I think for them, they really loved the music that was coming out. I mean, Stephen Pastel that's really responsible for this, because he hooked up with a guy called Calvin Johnson at K Records. The
whole K thing is really vital, isn't it?
Yes, and Stephen hooked up with them, and they put K, the Beat Happening records out in 53rd and 3rd, and that's where Kurt and those guys heard the Vaselines and heard all of this music from Glasgow. And that's kind of where the postcard thing was really big, but at the end of the postcard, Orange just moved to London. The Pastels were still here, and all these other bands were here, and the Mary Chain were here initially. Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of Americans got into Glasgow as a place that made good music, and it came from that.
The sort of slight move or shift from Bellshill to Glasgow, if you like, was partly to do with a drama group, community hub in Brighton. So because that's where I think you met Francis McKee, right?
Yeah, that's right.
How did you even find out about this crazy thing? And a drama group? Were you
thinking
of being actors?
It was at the Dolphin Arts Centre, and I went to look as Douglas did a bit of acting, and he thought, "Do you fancy doing that?" And I thought, "All right." And we went in once a week, and we met Eugene and Francis went to the same thing. Do you know who else went? Billy Boyd went there as well.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell us, you went once a week. What happened? What was happening at this thing?
We did a bit of Chekhov and all that, as you do. Acting wasn't for me. But it was a lot of fun, and we met some interesting people. And then, that's like I said, that's how we got to meet those guys initially, and that's how actually Eugene and Francis met, and that's why they became a couple. Yeah, started the Vaselines.
Well, was part of it, do you think, just about expression? Because it was kind of like, well, we won't be too, Douglas, God, absolutely love him, what a legend. But it's like, I don't necessarily know I need to completely master an instrument. I can be a musician, I can be a songwriter, right? Or, it could be drama or it could be that. But it was more again about, it's like you being going, I just want to hang about with that guy who did that Cubist dog. Yeah, is there something about just meeting kindred spirits?
Yes.
That actually in everything, whether that's Delaso, whether that's Jad Fair, I know there are very different reasons for these things, Butler, Blake and Grant, everyone, of course, Jonny with yours. Yeah. Is it just about having that sense of excitement that anything is possible?
It's interesting being around creative people. I mean, you talk about Eros. Eros is the absolute genius songwriter. I mean, and he's made a lot of albums that are available online for nothing. He's a brilliant singer. That's Gorky's. Eros played in a band called Gorky's Zygotic Monkey, who you may have heard of. But we were in Japan with Fanclub, and I heard this record. I was in that whatever, I think it was a record. It was a music store, and I was like, that sounds really incredible. It was the first Gorky's record. I thought I really have to. So I bought it, and then I was like, these guys are in Wales, and we went back and we asked them to tour with us on the next tour, and which they did, and then me and Eros just became friends from there, and have made music together since then as the band Jonny, and Eros now plays in Teenage Fanclub as well. I
just think he's absolutely wonderful. Amazing. I remember, I think there were a couple of early singles, one of which sadly I don't think would unfortunately be allowed to play anymore, but it's absolutely wonderful. Called Young Girls and Happy Endings, which is a great song. Patio song, wonderful. Amazing. But the other thing about what they were doing in Gorky's is that it kind of chimes with, let's imagine we've all had a wee dance to Orange Juice, okay, and you're going to put on a movie for us, roll out your VHS player or whatever. The kind of psychedelic, slightly surrealist, folkloric aspect
that's the thing
rings out in their music. Yeah. And rings out in the film you've chosen. Yeah. Before you tell us what the film is, Scottish film. Yeah. You giving us any snacks or drinks?
Oh, as in.
We're at the cinema at your house.
Oh, I see. Right. Well, I hadn't thought.
You don't need to bring them. It's an imagination. Okay. Just imagine, Norman. It's like shit. I never brought any. We're all going, by the way. That's why we came. No food.
I usually buy my snacks from Home Bargains. So they wouldn't be great.
Back fast on the bus and Home Bargain snacks. Yeah. Right, I'll bring the popcorn. What movie are you playing in?
So it's really obvious. It's The Wicker Man.
You say it's really obvious, but there are a million films you could have chosen.
Okay, again, that was me and Douglas. We were into cinema from the late 60s and early 70s. Endless Night is a big favourite of ours, which you don't know that movie. Hywel Bennett's in it. And, it's an amazing film based on an Agatha Christie story. But The Wicker Man was a big favourite of ours, and all that folkloric stuff is something that I'm really interested in. And again, like you say, Eros was well into that with all the imagery around the Gorky stuff. I've got some things.
We've got more props.
I like The Wicker Man a lot.
Oh! So, for the purposes of the podcast, which we are also recording, I now have a wicker man candle.
Yeah, not only that.
Like a
there's
pretty
a wee
good size. Oh, there's like a... Wait a minute. We've got various sizes. Please remind me to take a photograph of this.
Sure thing. And then,
wow.
yeah, and also, well, I've brought the book. There's a book, the book of The Wicker Man, Robin Hardy, Anthony Schaffer.
Oh, wow.
Who sort of, wrote it. Anthony Schaffer wrote the screenplay. Robin Hardy directed it.
Yeah.
But I've also got something which I think is really good here. My friend Drew Mulholland from Mount Vernon Arts Lab gave me this in 2001. Fragment of The Wicker Man collected at Barrowhead, January 2001 by Drew Mulholland and presented to Norman Blake. It's a bit of The Wicker Man.
Oh, wow.
Now, funnily enough, I was speaking to a friend about that the other day, and they said they had a photograph of that. There's nothing left. Those stumps have been reduced
but
to
we've
like
got
nothing
these bits
now.
of bark.
Yeah, there's
It's
some
real.
bits of The Wicker Man.
Shout out to Mount Vernon Arts Lab, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the endeavours, but certainly that. So you've got a bit of The Wicker Man.
Got a bit of The Wicker Man,
Jeez.
yeah. And a couple of cats. Pretty sad, that, isn't it?
No, isn't it? It's amazing. It is. Yeah, you're right. It is sad. Just give them to me, Norman. It's fine. I'll take them off your hands.
No, they weren't cheap either. And of course, I'm not going to like them.
No, you can. They're very precious. Do you remember when you first saw it?
I mean, I would have seen it 1976 or 77 or something like that.
It's like 73 it comes out,
73 is the year it was made, yeah. So around about then, it was on the Friday night telly from time to time.
It is an incredible film.
It's amazing.
It's utterly bizarre. It's also so Scottish in so many ways. I mean, maybe we should just, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you know the premise, but you know, how do you kind of like briefly describe it? This stiff upper lipped cop is sent to this.
Sent from Glasgow up to this end. There's a girl who's gone missing. This is a really sad bit of detail. The girl's name is Rowan Morris, and then we named our daughter Rowan after watching The Wicker Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, God. That's a dicey fate.
Well, it is. Well, actually, if you know the film, not so dicey.
It's all right
when you get
in
to
the
the end, actually, yeah.
Yeah, you got to watch it to know.
Yeah. But so he's this sort of, he's a sort of like religious policeman who's a virgin, right? And who gets sent up to investigate the disappearance of this little girl. He gets to the island, and the Lord of the Isle has gone everyone on the island.
Christopher Lee.
Into paganism, in terms of the crops, you know, and so the policeman is not happy about this because the churches are closed, and it kind of goes from there.
I remember when we rewatched it. It's been kind of restored, so I rewatched it really fairly recently. And you know the moments that you just kind of like take for granted. So it's like, and now it's like super technicolor, and it's like, oh yeah, there's all the naked women crying over the gravestone straddling the.
Exactly.
You become very kind of complacent to all this, don't you? Because it's a very sort of like sexually liberated.
No, it really is. It really is. Britt Eklund's body double as well.
Right.
Britt Eklund's body double.
Well, Britt Eklund's a fascinating character in it because, I mean, first of all, of course she is.
She's also an Endless Night.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I can see there's a theme there. But she's got these various voices. Rachel Varney does the singing voice, but
That's
Annie
right.
Ross, does the spoken voice.
That's right.
I love it. Britt Eklund does all this.
Amazing.
And I'd forgotten it until we were watching Superman relatively recently, and Annie Ross is in that as well. One of the Supermans, and it's just like, how incredible, like what an incredible career.
Yeah.
But also it's as absurd as everything else and yet as real as everything else about this crazy film.
Yeah, totally. And it's fun. And also, we haven't really spoken about the music yet, which is brilliant.
The soundtrack is incredible.
Paul Giovanni wrote all the songs. American guy.
Willow's song.
Yeah, Willow's song. But he was asked to sort of write them as Scottish folk songs. And I think the band he put together was called Magnet, and the soundtrack's absolutely.
Even though they're kind of American, it sounds so Scottish.
It sounds really Scottish, and but not quite. So that adds to this sort of surreality of it or whatever. But and the soundtrack is amazing. I'm sure the songs have been covered by people, but
it's also incredible the way that you can become associated with a soundtrack or with a series.
Yeah.
As I've told you, recently ended up, my older daughter is literally, and I know there are a lot of them, the biggest Stranger things fan in the world.
Oh.
And so as a result of which, a couple of times I've ended up interviewing Finn Wolfhard, who plays Mike. And the first time I interviewed him, it was for Radio Scotland. And it's one of these, they visualise everything now. And I genuinely hadn't really thought, I'm too busy going, right, is the bookcase a mess? Right, is the dog fed? Because I have to go on Zoom. So I'm trying to do all these things. And then I go on and these things are like, it's a junket, it's 9 minutes. So I'm trying to prepare myself, and Finn Wolfhard goes, what's your T-shirt? And it was strawberry. I didn't even know myself. I was like, what am I wearing? Oh, it's Strawberry Switchblade. And he immediately launches into this love of Scottish indie, and particularly Teenage Fanclub.
Yeah.
And then my daughter and I then went to see him playing solo in Amsterdam. This is like last month.
Yeah.
And his walk-on music was Everything Flows.
Yeah, that's
right?
Well, I met him a couple of months ago.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm so glad in Glasgow.
I
honestly said, I was like, this has to happen.
Yeah, he was playing in Glasgow, and he invited us down, actually. Got in touch with us, and so I thought, yeah, I'll go. I think I watched the first series, but I hadn't kept up with it, so I wasn't really aware of how famous he was or how famous I think the show is. But I made sure to take down a Teenage Fanclub T-shirt. A couple of nights later, there's a photograph of him playing somewhere else, and he was wearing it. I was like, get in there.
Yeah. No, honestly.
But he's lovely. He's a really nice kid.
Oh, no, and he properly, like, our interview was out the window, so he could talk about, and he was like C86, you know, he's like, wait a minute, what's a C? I mean, he really, really was fascinated, but I was like, that's one thing. Now, we're in Amsterdam, and it's literally, that's the music. It was brilliant. Just like, he just...
Yeah, it's that classic thing. I was speaking to him about it, and is that thing. He's like, my dad loved your band. He said, when I was a kid, we listened to it a lot, and he's like, really get into it. But he's lovely, he's a really nice guy, really down to earth.
But it's amazing how something like that can just inform, you know, the way we see something. Obviously, so many of the songs on the actual Stranger Things soundtrack have done that as well. But something like Judgment Night, right? So how did Teenage Fanclub and De La Soul come to be part of that? Because this was this wonderful and Fallen, such a great song. But it's
that came out really well.
What brings that to fruition?
I mean, basically, we got asked to do it. As simple as that, really. But
someone must have been a massive fan, though. Again, this comes back to someone really loving the band.
Yeah, the whole premise of that soundtrack is that they would put indie acts together with rap acts, right? Rap bands. Someone approached us about it and said, "Would you be up for working with De La Soul?" And we were like, "Fucking right." Yeah. It was as simple as that. And so we were recording in Manchester at the time, and they flew over. So there was...
they came to you?
Oh, they did, yeah. They did. Well, then we went to them for the video. But they flew over, and then there was a kind of preamble. Oh, hello, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then I think Mace put down like a beat or whatever, and then me and Raymond just started playing some guitar things. Thought, oh, that's cool. And it just went from there. And it all went really well. We did it in like a day. And then the soundtrack was being released, and the track had come out really well. It's a nice track. It really is. You know,
it's glorious.
They'd sample, because they were thinking about us and the way we sounded, and they sampled Tom Petty, Free Fallin', because they kind of thought that was our kind of vibe. And so so that was, and so it was really thoughtful of them in that way. They were trying to make sure that and they mentioned us in the lyric or whatever. But then a couple of months later, it was going to be one of the lead tracks from the record, and we flew over to Chicago, made a video with them in a school. It was pretty mental, but great experience. They were really nice guys. They were really friendly, really nice people.
I love that there's something in there about hearing something in your music, whether it's there or not, but also you hearing something in your music, maybe retrospectively, that you didn't notice at the time. For them, Free Fallin' was kind of somewhere in the DNA of Teenage Fanclub.
Sure.
But you've spoken before about maybe catching afterwards your own songs and songwriting and realising, I think it's like Everything Flows in the Beatles and Glass Onion, right? You're like, whoa, the subconscious does all sorts of tricks.
Where everything flows. Fucking hell. I was listening one day, I was like, oh, fucking hell.
Don't tell me. They got a writing credit now.
Well, it's 2 words. So fuck 'em. No, I'm joking.
And Paul McCartney is here, so it's great.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I love you, Paul. But
you don't know, do you? You just have to kind of trust.
You don't. It's kind of all been done before, really, and you just have to rejig it. Every time I write a song, I wrote a song. We're doing a new record quite soon. I wrote a song the other day, and I was thinking, here's the thing: when you think you've written something that's good, you think it sounds familiar, and you start to worry that you've just lifted it from someone. You probably have, unintentionally. You're always that's how it works. So music's always worked that way. People lift things and they develop them. If you think back to all the folk music, it's developed. Somebody takes a song and changes the lyric or the music, the melody. Actually, talking about the Wicker Man, there's the Robert Burns corn rigs, but I think they've written a different melody, or they put a different melody together with his Burns' original words. So you can do that. It's always think there aren't any rules here. There's no rule book for music at all. You just do what you want,
And I think it is such a fine line as well, because you kind of want something to feel familiar. It's like if you meet a person, right? If you love or you like something, there is an element of it feeling like something you kind of already know.
That's right. That's right. When you're writing songs, it can. It's up for other people to judge whether it's good or not. But I think if it sounds familiar, it sometimes means that it's maybe going to connect with people.
Yeah.
You hope, anyway.
Well, I can guarantee. I felt like I was like Cilla Black there. Well, I can guarantee that you are going to fall in love with another song that Norman Blake is going to sing us after the break. Let's keep it like dramatic pause, right? Because I've just noticed the time, and obviously Norman and I have spoke so meticulously about the structure for the event. So time is marching on though. So shall we have like a quick 10-ish minute break? There's a wonderful playlist that Sean will play us. I will look after these and not burn the Wicker Man candles.
They're doing a special on the Estrella Galicia.
Oh, that's right. The bar's over here, I think, as well. Or if not, it's out there. And Norman and I will go back so you can get another puppet show in about 10 minutes. But we won't start without you, I promise. We'll come back. We'll hear another song. We'll chat some more. If you've got questions, we'll have them. And then we'll hear another song. Does that sound good? All right. Okay, so 10 minutes. Thank you. Said to Norman Blake, no, two things happened. One, I went, oh, that's a teaser for a song we might hear later. Second thing was I went, stay there, so they can get a proper welcome. And I have got a tambourine now. Welcome back, the wonderful Norman Blake! Woo! Norman, who of course I love dearly, was like, I just, it's nice to always have someone playing music in some way with me. And at that point, I happened to see a tambourine on a standard lamp behind him. Yes, so I'm now part of the band. I'm going to call us Me and Norman. Me and Norman. Album to follow.
Yes, indeed,
Okay, it's going to be minimalist tambourine.
That's okay, but I mean, knock yourself out, go for it.
I'm going to do that. Here we go.
Okay, are we doing It's All in My Mind? Is that what we're doing?
Yep. Oh. Well, I've got my tambourine tuned for that, so.
But how many, we've about 4 pints back there. So, we were trying to get a few down before anyway.
What, to make my tambourine playing bearable?
Yeah.
I'll start us off, Norman.
Okay. Give us a 1, 2. Okay.
Thank you so much. And a cheer for Norman. Pretty good. Just as well I hadn't brought my kazoo because I might have outshone you. I mean, you were also quite good.
Yeah, thank you.
That was lovely. We had a nice chat backstage, and thank you for. There was a small spillage. I've cleaned it up.
Or a Steve Hillage, as we call that.
Is that the rock and roll term?
That is the rock and roll term for a small spillage. It's a Steve Hillage.
Okay, that's what happens when you've lived your life in rock and roll ways.
Well, yeah.
Speaking of which, and before we get on to the book, okay, because we've had the film, we've had the album, and you've got a wonderful Scottish book that you're going to read to us from beginning to end.
Yes, I am. It's actually short enough that you possibly could.
It's actually, it's a slim volume, although it contains multitudes and a lot of sort of highness as well, which is a technical term when you don't climb mountains.
Indeed.
But
the sort of filmic and legendary aspects of landscape are fascinating to me, and one of the reasons is that we know about Bellshill, okay, because there was Sheena, of course.
There was.
There are you guys. But I think particularly if there is a point on the map that is referenced more than any other, it's Norman's granny's house.
Granny's house, yeah.
Right? Like, honestly, so many bands, all of you really at different times rehearsed there, went to your granny's.
There's all sorts of people who have slept on that floor. And,
it's like the Brill building of Bellshill.
It kind of was, yeah.
Tell us about it, like when you look back now, and why was it your granny's? Why did this become the apex, literally, of Scottish indie?
I stayed there for a few years in my late teens, early 20s, and she didn't mind me practicing. She was quite happy to sit watching the telly with the dog. And actually, so we did a lot of the early Fanclub rehearsals, and in fact, the cover of the first LP is she would be mortified. She's dead now, but she would be mortified. And she would have been mortified at the time that I used the because the wall, all the plasterboard had been taken down, and the walls were a bit of a mess. Yeah. And we took a photograph that thought that would make a great record sleeve, and that's what became the first sleeve. But no, we all sort of practiced there, and she didn't mind us doing that. We'd had the full band practicing with Marshall amps.
Can you give us a picture of this house? Because I'm presuming we're not talking about a massive mansion somewhere on the Bellshill.
It was actually a small bungalow. My grandparents were newsagents, and they'd bought the house. Belonged to a guy. It was built by a guy called Jock Ewart, who was a goalkeeper for Scotland and somebody else, like a team in England, but like Bradford or someone like that. He built this house, and they had a small. He was a newsagent, I think, and he sold it to them. Anyway, it wasn't adjacent to anything really, and so we could make a bit of noise. And then we took the drum kit. We just kind of set up as a studio, and I threw like a mattress down in the corner. And really? Yeah.
And was she like, what are you up to, son? Like,
she was quite happy.
Just love all the noise going on?
I had some right random people.
But was it just that? Yeah, there was space. There was this room.
She was an idiosyncratic person. Was my granny? The child of Italian immigrants, but she was cool. No, she really didn't mind at all. And she would. I mean, I was telling somebody about it the other day. I love this thing she did with her dog. The dog got exactly the same food that she got. So like,
that's either spoiled or she had a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah, she wasn't eating, but whatever she made for dinner, the dog would get, which I thought was pretty good.
But was there a point where you're like, there's the first people, because I mean, if you read like Grant McPhee's wonderful book, or if you read any account, or whenever I've spoken to anyone, from that scene, whether that's Douglas or Sean, whoever, it's almost like this unsaid and completely taken for granted aspect of the landscape of your music making was, that was at Norman's Grant.
The rehearsal space.
Of course. Yeah. Like, why do you ask?
Yeah, no, it was, like I say, she was totally cool with it, and which was great for us, because there weren't any rehearsal rooms or whatever, so it was, and if there were, we couldn't afford them. So yeah, it was good. It was really good, and she would bring us tea and all that, So yeah.
I do love the domestication. You're telling me at one point, Steve Hillage, like that's a rock and roll term, and I'm like, I do love that, but also it was based at your granny's. Kind of the roots of so many of your bands were there, and of course, really, we do actually just briefly have to touch on before we get into your book. The white goods and the import of, the selling of white goods, and again, domestic appliances.
We're not talking drugs, domestic appliances, right?
Yeah. Honest.
No, so our first LP was paid for, but so Raymond from the band stayed in the flats up in Maryhill, and his neighbour left him and her will a fridge and a washing machine because she knew he was getting a flat. And so we sold those and get a couple of £100 or whatever. With that money, we hired Pet Sound Wet Studio, which is also in Maryhill. And we recorded our first LP, and then we actually recorded most of it there, and then we did some additional stuff at Sweet 16, which was Hookie's studio.
Right. Oh wow. Okay.
In Rochdale.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a couple of white goods paid for our first LP.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Do you remember what it was like to first walk into that studio and think, "This is it"? You know.
Yeah. It was exciting.
Moment.
Yeah, really exciting. I mean, of course, it's 3 days or whatever. Yeah, which but it was great. You know, you get the massive sort of 2-inch tape or whatever, and put on the machine. It was really, really a great feeling to be making something in a studio. But we had a thing where we didn't want to do demos because we'd been listening to. There were loads of bands and people we knew, but they were making demos and going to the labels, and labels were saying, "Oh, it's good, but can you do this and can you do that?" And we thought, well, we just want to make something of a finished product, because then there's no ambiguity in terms of what they think of the album or what the label thinks of the album. They get it as a sort of finished product, and so that's what we did. We made the record and had structured it in terms of sequence. And then again, it was through Stephen Pastel, who I've obviously become friendly with from playing with the Pastels. Stephen put me in touch with a guy called Dave Barker in London, who had a label called Paper House, and I'd put out some Pastels records. Dave's a great guy. He's still a good friend. And Dave said that he would put it out on the Paper House label, the first album. So that was really good. But at the same time, Stephen knew a guy called Gerard Cosloy in America who'd worked at Homestead Records, and he was in the process of setting up a new label called Matador Records. So we sent him the tape. I think our album's the second or third release on Matador, and then he put that out. I mean, a couple of months later, we found ourselves at the launch night for Matador Records playing at CBGB's in New York, which was an unbelievable experience. Sleeping on the office floor.
But nonetheless, an American band, I think that was the thing. It was like, even if you had an awareness over here, if you were reading the kind of the weekly press as it was back there, then this idea that it's like this Scottish band, yes, with these roots and whatever, but it's like, wait a minute, this is really happening in America.
It was
like
amazing.
It was a huge
we'd done nothing
impact
here at all. We came from America as a band to the NME and people like that. I mean, it was amazing. That first night, and we were in New York, and we meet like Sonic Youth and Yola Tango. And we've noticed
casual. Hi guys.
We're still really good friends with Yola Tango, but we met them the night before we did the CBGB show. We played the rehearsal space, and Ira and George go, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Ira," and we met them that night. It's amazing. We're really good friends with those guys. But it was an incredible experience, and also we met on that first night. We met Superchunk, who are now our label in America. Merge Records in the US are our label. So we've known them since that would be 1990, I think that was.
I think there's so much to be said for just actually two people making a connection, and that being really Stephen Pastel and Calvin Johnson, right? Like really the way in which so many of the different threads across the Atlantic could come back to something, and just that shared like complete ideology that they have, and the kind of like complete welcoming of so many things, and also in terms of like the female bands, like the Riot Girl movement, all of that, safe spaces, inclusion, marginalised folk going, come in, be a part of it.
Totally.
Like they have just made such a space for that. And the interesting thing is that almost everyone that they've kind of been involved with with the best will in the world commercially has maybe been more of note, but what they've done is like insurmountable, really.
It's amazing, absolutely. Like I say, Nirvana probably wouldn't have happened in the way that they did because I think Kirk's aesthetic was heavily influenced by the K thing. I mean, they did the series of singles, the monthly singles, and the Nirvana one, or Kurt Cobain one, which I happen to have because I bought them. It goes for crazy money now, but he was really into that whole thing. And it is a great aesthetic, actually. There
goes for crazy money, but you chose to bring your Wicker Man candles.
I did, I did. Yeah.
Wise. Probably also go for crazy money now that Norman Blake has touched it.
Well, you never know.
But you just never know. You know the importance of making a connection.
Yeah, but it's all about that, and it's all about being bold. I think also because, like I said, we could have looked to demo and do that, but we just did. We thought, see, once you put something out, you have to do something else. That it's it really forces you to be productive, and it's a catalyst to do more work, and that led us on to making Bandwagon-esque, which was the next record that we made.
When you even came up, at what point in the duration of that album did even that title come out? Because the artwork, you know, that imagery, I remember bizarrely years and years ago, there's a poet called Brian Bilston. He's a sort of like internet poet, and that's not to be disparaging, it's just that's how he's sort of made his sort of name, and I wasn't massively aware of him, but it was at the start when they wanted to visualize radio, and so I went to say, and welcome, and this actually goes back to Finn Wolfhard. He went, again, had no interest in the introduction, had no interest in what I was asking, was like, is that a Bandwagon-esque t-shirt?
Okay.
And of course I was like, oh, it is.
Yeah.
And all he wanted to speak about was how much he loved Bandwagon-esque, but we ended up talking about that title.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, when did the title come into, because, you know, sometimes there's a song, right?
The title was Raymond's title.
Right.
Raymond came up with that.
At the start, at the end, at what point?
At the start, and we just thought it was quite funny.
Yes.
And we thought with a title like that, we need to use clip art, something that's, you know, like in
money bags.
and in the public domain. Here's the thing: Gene Simmons from Kiss sued us over that, using that money bag. Right?
It's like the only man who has any bags of dollars. But did he? And did he actually? Though?
We were like, it's fucking clip art.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway,
what was his argument?
He said that the money bag logo was his, and he'd copyrighted it, but it was actual clip art, uncopyrighted. It's, you know, in the public domain.
You're not daft.
But
yeah.
at the time, our lawyer said, we'll give him $1,000 or whatever, and so I think we ended up doing that.
In a yellow bag with a dollar sign on the front.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So about a month later, we did Saturday Night Live, which was amazing. I mean, we really didn't know what it was. People we knew in America were like, "Oh man, you're doing Saturday Night Live." We're like, as we were about to go on and do our performance, Gene Simmons' lawyer walks up to us and said, "Hey guys, I work for Gene Simmons, and he says, have a great performance."
The audacity.
No, yeah.
But it became this perfect thing, didn't it? It's so funny. It became this like I caught the art. It was, if it was worth $1,000 in silver dollars.
I think it was.
You know, I think that whatever it was, the way in which that just captured the imagination, and a spirit of something.
It did, but it was Raymond that conceptualized all of that.
Did he say like, well, we call it Bandwagon-esque? Were there other titles?
It's the sort of thing that he might come up with. But yeah, he just I can't. But you know, it's so long ago. But I think we were talking about people being on the bandwagon. And he said, we should make an album that's bandwagon-esque or something like that.
But the wonderful thing is, you didn't stop there, because then we get to something like Songs from Northern Britain, right?
Yeah,
in the heady midst of Britpop.
Yeah, that was.
And it's like, wait a minute, there's a lot of other stuff coming in.
Yeah, there's a kind of joke in that title too, because Britain is the island.
Exactly.
We actually do live in fucking Britain. That's what it is.
And yet the great irony is somehow we are really not Northern Britain,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
What
so
is that?
Again, we just thought it was kind of funny, and we're just sort of poking fun at things a wee bit.
Yeah. Or Nothing Lasts Forever.
Yeah, Nothing Lasts Forever.
You know, I mean, wait a minute, guys. We're nearly 35 years into our career. What will we call the band?
Exactly.
The album.
That's the thinking behind that. But
but I
it's
think
difficult to come up with an album title to cover a group of songs or whatever.
But the playfulness of that, I think, goes back to what we're saying about Orange Juice or Falling and Laughing. It's saying, you know what, like making music and is deadly serious, but it can also be and has to be not too serious.
Here's the thing: the albums are an extension of us of our personalities collectively. Yeah. And the titles and the songs have to reflect that, and they do, because and that's the sort of thing that we collectively would think that's funny. Let's call it Nothing Lasts Forever. Ho. 2 months later, here are the masters for Nothing Lasts Forever.
And everyone was like, 34 years into their career.
Yeah,
it is that playfulness.
Yeah.
But does that extend to song titles? Because as often as not, you have these song titles that, quite often with a song, it will be referenced within the lyrics. That's not always the case at all. Sure. The concept.
Yeah, again, I think with that song, that was, I get this one of the things. I think what happened was I had some of the lyrics for the song, but then I thought, I've got this idea. Let's put a big coda on the end of it. And they were like, oh, for fuck's sake, really? Yeah, let's do a big. Well, let's make it really long because we were thinking at the time that it wasn't really cool to do that. You know, it was.
It's almost punk to then be 7 minutes
that
long.
kind of idea. You know, we're thinking.
Let's go prog rock. That's very punk.
That was the idea, right? We're thinking, let's make it really long. Put a big coda on the end of it, like you might get on like a Yes song or something like that. And then I didn't have lyrics for it, so the working title for that song was The Concept. And so when it came to when the song was finished, we're like, what we call it? And like, let's just keep that. That's working fine. Yeah.
Just almost just let it find its own ground. And that's all right.
Yeah, exactly. And then it just becomes that thing.
But I love the fact that you still appreciate the novelty in that. So we were you were doing a wee sound check before you guys came in, and the song that we'll hear towards the end is a song that we know well and love dearly. Certainly I do. And you were like, but as Norman was playing it, he would stop and he'd be like, here's the modulation, and like there's a middle eight in this one. You know, is that kind of like going, do you know what, even the playfulness of the structure of a song can everything is there to be enjoyed or laughed at or pushed to its extremes.
You're doing modulations in songs is a thing, which is a kind of real pop thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun doing a modulation, and it's tricky to play. I mean, because so for this song, what I used to do, there's a capo there, and I couldn't be bothered working out the chords for the modulation, so I used to just kind of grab the capo and slide it up one. And that seemed to work for a while, but then I thought I should really learn these.
You're not always on tuned to Nashville.
No, I'm not. This is very unusual for me.
So tuned to Nashville is what?
Basically, so what that is like, so the Nashville tuning is if you had a 12-string guitar and took away all the normal strings, that's what's left. So it's all the high strings.
And what appeals about tuned to Nashville then?
Well, do you know, the first time I heard it being used was from a band called Big Star.
Oh.
So that sounds really magic.
Really? But you didn't know what it was?
I didn't really know what it was, no. I knew there was something going on in the high end of the guitar. I think they used they'd used Nashville's, but they used like a Fender Mando guitar thing that Alex had. And so it's the really chimey thing in September Girls is pretty much what you're getting with a
rings out.
Really, really ringy and jangly. It's really beautiful sound. And it's the way we use it usually on our records, you can augment every fourth chord or something like that. And it's really good. You could use it to embellish things. I think just having it strumming away in the background, it's just a really nice sound.
Tune to Nashville. What would tune to Bellshill sound like?
Oh dear, that would not sound
kazoo.
Good. I mean, yeah, with kazoo, yeah.
And maybe eating an apple.
Yeah, that's the Douglas always has an apple on stage.
I remember once seeing him, and I could see it was at a festival. Because if you go to a BMX Bandits gig, of course that's part of the thing. But you could see him still decades after he'd started doing it, getting the apple out of his pocket, and him still winding people up beyond belief for the audacity of just standing there eating an apple. You know, the performance art aspect of it is brilliant, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's always done that, yeah.
And just being brave enough to stand there
and
take the awkwardness.
He's done some pretty wild things on stage, Douglas, over the years. I won't get into all of them. But
I know, exactly. We're choosing
or
them
in
wisely.
fact, any of them.
But, you know, he's very much, and this is very much a sort of, I guess, illustration of the way in which, like, art, Christ, things are fucking rubbish out there in the real world, right? So it's like if we have films, as mad as they are, and if we're watching The Wicker Man with the jars in your granny's sweet shop of, like, pickled bloody frogs and eyeballs and things that are much worse. Yeah. But it's still something joyous and escapist about it. Yeah. And certainly music and pop music and all of it.
Well, that's what music does for everyone.
Art does.
Art does that, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was saying to you earlier, Nicola, but it's kind of funny for me to go to a gig, and it's hard to, because you kind of lose. But when I went to gigs, you get this sort of suspension of reality. So when I was a kid, I would go to a gig and it would all be magical. Mm-hmm. And now I go to a gig and I'm like, what fucking mic have they got in the bass amp there? I can't help it. I can't help it, and it kind of spoils it a bit for me. Occasionally it isn't that. Mm-hmm. Nick Cave at the Hydro recently, that was stunningly brilliant.
But it becomes rarer because the magic, it's that thing of like, it's that obsessive compulsion, I guess. You want to get closer and closer and closer.
Yeah.
And then you get there and you're like, now the bubble's burst now. Thanks,
The
guys.
bubble is,
now
sound checks and
we've ruined it.
Yeah.
But I think also that can happen, obviously, in records. It can happen in film. It can happen with Douglas doing the performance art of eating an apple, or just because he was.
Yeah.
But also on the page it can as well. So let's move to books eventually, which I think we were meant to be doing about half an hour ago. So if you were going to be reading us a story at your granny's house in Bellshill in the wee bungalow with a million bands rehearsing.
Nan Shepherd, The Living Mountains. It's a nice book, that. I don't know if you've read that. It's an easy read, really, but it's lovely. So Nan Shepherd, this is about her experience of the Cairngorms, where she spent her entire life. And it's really just about, the mountains themselves, but just the atmospheric conditions that she experienced. And and it's really beautifully written.
It is a stunningly lyrical.
Yeah, really
book,
lyrical
is it's a beautiful book, and like I try and second guess guests. What might certain guests choose for the books and for the albums and for things, and I couldn't have second guessed any of them. I know you love orange juice and the Wicker Man kind of. I really wouldn't have. And Nan Shepherd, you're the first person who has chosen Nan Shepherd and the Living Mountain.
Okay,
it's an absolutely stunning book about landscape, about Scotland. It's also a book about solitude, and the other things you've talked about and everything we've talked about is kind of more predicated on collectivism, right? You met Douglas, you've always made music with other people. We now have our new duo. What did I call it? Me and Norman.
That's
me and Norman.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's our band. We've got our band, so the Teenage Fanclub album will wait.
That's on the back burner now.
Yeah, the teenage. Sorry about that, guys. But it's always about other people. The interesting thing about that is it's much more about a relationship with landscape, with a sense of home, but also a solitude. So, when did you first encounter this book? I wonder what lured you into that.
I read it a few years ago. I've read a few of the Robert McFarlane books, and I like.
Yes, and he does the introduction in one of these versions, right?
So I live in the countryside. I live in the Clyde Valley. And I like walking. After a certain age, everyone likes walking.
Did you always, though, or is that?
No, I did. I do that. And I've always liked. I've spent a fair amount of time in the Highlands, and I like isolation, and hill and walking. I've done one Monroe with my daughter, which was a total fucker. But anyway, I did.
Especially when you're halfway up and you're like, let me tell you about the origins of your name.
No, it's the walking down. The coming down was the hard bit. That's the bit that does the knees in. So that kind of walking is not my thing, really. I don't think. But I don't live too far from Lanark, and New Lanark, and the walk up with the Falls of Clyde is absolutely incredible. I would recommend it. It's not far away, 20 miles away, and it's beautiful. And there's a great path all the way up along the falls, and actually in the last couple of days it would have been incredible. I mean, Turner went up there and painted it. It's stunning, really, really good. That's the kind of thing that I really enjoy, and there are lots of great little walks out that way. My grandfather was from the Clyde Valley, and so that's when I moved back from Canada a few years back. I was looking for somewhere to stay. I thought I'll have a look down there and see if I can find something. So, and that's partly why I brought the Nan Shepherd book. So it's got its own little microclimate down in the Clyde Valley.
Do you think part of knowing that your grandfather had been down there gave you a sense of home about it? The connection
perhaps,
again.
Yeah,
the connection.
We did go there when I was a kid. We'd go down there and visit my aunt who lived in their family home, Hill Cottage, near Netherburn. And I liked that when I was a kid. And then my granddad would take me walking as well. Actually, he liked to walk.
Like, what age would you be when he was doing that? Like,
I'd be pretty young. Like 10 or 11, something like that. My granddad was crazy. I mean, an amazing guy. Yeah, but he was kind of like. I have to take. He was like. He had this. He would always find things. Okay, so I went to school one day and somebody said to me, "Just saw your granddad up the street there." All right, and he's got a boiler suit on. Wait a minute, that's got the Clash written on the back of it, which he'd found somewhere. He would find amazing things. He also collected ginger bottles, or what do you call them, ginger bottles, right?
Juice bottles.
Yeah, okay.
Ginger here, whatever.
And that would be your Christmas. Like he collected a lot of them.
Well, you would get like bottles of
Like
ginger
hundreds of them.
like 7 pence each.
But he would be bin raking. He would be like, he wasn't buying it. He was an interesting man.
I wish to God there was a parallel universe in which your granddad in his Clash boiler suit had delivered the legal money, right?
Yeah.
For bandwagon-esque and using the clip art.
Well, that would have been good.
With ginger bottles, buying 7 pence out brew bottles.
There you go, Simmons.
There you go, guys. There you go, Gene Simmons. You know
Simmons,
what I mean? Like an entire plane load of iron brew 7
good.
pence bottles.
Yeah, that would have enjoyed that.
It's legal currency in Scotland. Take it or leave
absolutely.
it.
Also, there's one other story I'll tell you about him actually yet. So one year for my Christmas when I was a kid, I was supposed to get a budgie. Okay.
The bike or the bird? The bike or the bird?
The bird. Okay.
Both are
Night
great.
Christmas Eve, my granddad's looking after the budgie, puts its head through a couple of the bars and kills itself.
My God. Really? So
Yeah.
the poor budgie.
The budgie choked.
Trying to escape.
I'm assuming it was.
Oh, God. So you've been told.
Yeah, so I've been told. But anyway, that's what.
Do you remember being that wee kid, like really wanting a budgie the way?
I'm not so sure it was crazy about getting a budgie.
Was it you that killed the budgie?
I would happily have accepted the budgie. I was pretty easy to please as a kid.
I love this vision of your granddad though, like going about and also I'm like, whose was the Clash boiler suit? Sorry to get caught up in the detail.
No, I'm really not sure. Yeah.
It's
Some
wild.
young punk had made it into something that looks rubbish.
What was it like when you did, because you'd been living in Canada and you moved back, and what sort of sense of a relationship with home did that give you with Scotland? Because you've chosen, it's such a stunning book, but there is so much that is attached to a sense of place.
Yeah.
A sense of, because she's almost, the living mountain is the aspect of it. It's very much about, if not a conversation with landscape, then very much a belonging.
That's right.
So when you'd been away and you came back, did you have a different sense of home?
I did, but so I really like Scotland. But the thing that I did learn from living abroad is home is absolutely where you're living.
Okay.
I had a thing where I was in Canada for 10 years, and so when I was going back and forth initially, I would come back to Canada and that would be fine. I'd come over here and that's all good, and I was flying back and forth. But I remember like landing one particular time thinking, I feel like I'm coming home.
Landing where?
In Canada.
Okay.
So it's funny how that changes. It's really all about where you live and at any given time, I think. Might take a bit of time. And of course, your relationships with people are exactly the same and whatever, it's all pretty much the same.
How often are you or were you in Bellshill? Like, how much did you go back? Do you go back?
I go there every day. My parents still live there.
So you're still there?
Yeah. I'm trying to get my mum to eat food because she's in hospital with the hyponatremia. She's fine.
Right.
Hyponatremia, but it's like, you fucking eat something. So I'm kind of like loading, like,
right.
I make them the other day. Oh, what was it again? Oh, it was like Philadelphia cream cheese, full fat with salmon. I was making sandwiches, like firing loads with that thick. So there, just a wee sandwich there.
This is brilliant. This you feeding your mammy. Role reversal, eh?
Well, yeah, totally that.
That's such a privilege to get to do that.
No, I mean the role. My parents. My dad's 92, and my mum's 89. My dad's pretty mental. He's got this thing, and I'm hoping he won't do it this year. On Christmas Day, he has a couple of whiskies, right, and he gets down and he starts doing a few press ups. And last year I said to him, right, no, that's enough.
Really?
No more. No, he does.
Was this always a thing?
The last couple of years it's been a thing.
That's actually even better. He got to 90 and he's like, I need a new thing.
But I'm just thinking, I don't want to put A&E with you on, or worse, on Christmas Day. So.
Oh, God, that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Did they, when you were wee, it's so lovely that you're, there is the role reversal aspect, but since we're speaking about books, and we will wind up and get some questions ready if you're ready. Were there a lot of books? Did they read to you? Do you remember?
No,
or was there storytelling?
There wasn't, but I think it's because they worked so much. But what did
they do?
So they were
like
news agents.
Oh, of
yeah,
course.
that's a family of news agents. Yeah. But anyway, no. So they They were always really tired at night. But what they did get was they had a tape recorder, and what I really loved was I had a cassette of John Pertwee reading Treasure Island.
Really?
Absolutely brilliant.
Oh.
I still remember it. So and I kind of listened to that most nights. There wasn't a big selection. I think we'd Kidnapped as well, and Treasure Island. But
that's lovely. The escapist aspect to that as well.
Yeah, it was really good actually. Just him doing all the different voices.
Also, the madness of Treasure Island and the kind of like weird surrealism of an island, and Wicker Man.
No, that's
really
very true. Away. Actually, yes,
not so far away.
Yeah.
God, so can you? I mean, press ups at 92 is pretty impressive. So you're like looking forward to Christmas, but also like I hope all budgies are okay, and I hope there won't be any like.
I'm going to see if he'll do a 30-second plank.
Yeah, throw something different into the mix.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
what the fuck's a plank?
I know. Don't tell him. That'll be the next. That'll be the next few years. Okay. Well, listen. We're going to hang about for a wee bit, but we are going to get off the stage. I think the bar's still going to be open. Okay. But given that, we have got one more song, and I'm going to just move over to that chair because I've got a serious tambourine job.
Yes, you do.
And much more importantly, before you play your last song, because this is kind of us for now, how amazing is Norman Blake, by the way? Like, louder! Louder! Woo! There's a modulation and a middle eight and a tambourine.
I should have maybe practiced a bit before coming in. Okay, here we go.
I've just moved, so I've got a better view.
Thanks.
Blake, and I would also like a cheer for myself, and I'll tell you why. Not only did I make that man go and sing another song and play tambourine, I didn't realise till I then sat in your seat that I've also drank your pint.
Oh, that's all right. That's absolutely fine.
Thank you, Norman Blake.
Thank
you. Hear the songs, the chat.
Thank you.
We're going to go through to the bar. So we'll see you through there.
See you at the bar.
Thank you so much to the stand, Fraser and Sean.
Thanks,
and
Sean.
Tommy and everybody. You're absolutely amazing. All right. Okay.
Amazing.
Here's the modulations.
Right, there you go. No.
The brilliant Norman Blake there. Thank you so much again to Norman for being the best company, and to you if you joined us at the live event, and thank you as always to everyone at the stand. Sorry again that I couldn't include his live tunes on the podcast. If you fancy imagining them though, he played Foreign Land, It's All in My Mind, and I Don't Want Control of You in that order. If you fancy seeing Norman live, although sadly I probably won't be playing tambourine on these dates, then again, never say never. He's live with Nicola Sturgeon, Shirley Manson, and former A Kick Up the Arts guest Michael Peterson. That's on New Year's Day at Portobello Town Hall. And then he's at the always terrific Frets in Straven on February the 20th. That's in cahoots with Rothschild, aka Jonny. If you fancy listening to more Wicker Man chat, fill your boots with A Kick Up the Arts with wildlife superstar Gordon Buchanan. He picked it as his favourite movie as well. He didn't have candles right enough. Okay, I'll give you peace. Go buy all the Norman's records, and thank you so much as ever for listening, sharing, subscribing, getting in touch on social media. I love hearing from you. Do all of that. Bye for now.